What's up, legends? Welcome back to another video. Today we got a whole bunch of my favorite core exercises for footballers or soccer players. Alright, so first we're going to go through each exercise, then make sure you stick around till the end of the video to find out why each exercise is so important for footballers. Alright, so our first exercise are our plank slide out. So we're going to set ourselves up in a regular forearm plank. We're going to set some sliders at our feet. We're going to set through that nice braced position in the core, avoiding any anti-extension through the back, so no arching through the back, and we're going to slowly slide forward and back in that plank position. All right, our second exercise, again, another anti-extension exercise. So again, we're trying to avoid any arch in that low back as our bilateral dead bug. So we're going to set up on our back, hands under the shoulders. We're going to start with our knees above the hips, setting our brace, so driving that low back down into the ground. Again, avoiding any low back arch. Then we're going to slowly extend the legs out, keeping that low back down to the ground, and then resetting by flexing at the hip. Next, we have our anti-rotation exercises. So the first exercise here, we have our bird dog. So we're going to set up with our knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Then we're going to kick straight back with our heel and punch forward with the opposite arm. Okay, so we're trying to avoid any rotation in the hips and in the shoulders, trying to stay strong through the entire brace without any type of rotation. Our second anti-rotation exercise are our Pallof press isometric holds. So we're going to set up with our feet right underneath the hips. We're going to set a band at a decent distance where we're going to find a good amount of tension. Then we're going to extend the arms straight out with the band, trying to stay strong through the brace. Again, we're trying to avoid any type of rotation here. The band's going to be pulling us back towards the wall there, but we want to fight that and stay strong through the core and through the hips. Our next set of exercises are anti-flexion. So we're going to be trying to avoid any flexion of the hips. So we're going to be driving our hips up to the sky, staying braced through the core. So our first exercise are Bazou ball extensions. Okay, so we're going to set up in kind of a glute bridge position with our shoulders supported by the ball. We're going to drive up through the hips and we're going to squeeze through the glutes and the core to stay strong in that anti-flexed position there. Okay, our second exercise of our anti-flexion are our straight leg glute bridges, which are similar to the Bazou ball ones, but without the ball, and we're going to be in a nice straight line from head all the way down towards the feet. So we're driving up again through the hips, through the hamstrings here, digging our heels down into the ground, squeezing the glutes, staying strong through the core, not allowing our hips to flex. All right, and our last set of our anti-movements are our anti-lateral flexion exercises. So our first exercise is our single arm kettlebell marches. So we have a heavy dumbbell in one hand or a heavy kettlebell. Our other arm has no weight, and we're doing stationary marches in place. We're staying nice and tall, not allowing our body to shift side to side as best we can, as well as no lateral flexion, so no bending at the hips. Okay, and our final anti-exercise of our anti-lateral flexion exercises are our half kneeling side plank straight leg raise hold. Okay, so we're in a nice half side plank there, supported by the knee and the elbow. Okay, we're having a nice straight leg on the top, and we're trying to stay strong through the brace, keeping our hips up nice and high and forward. All right, we're done with our anti-core movements here, guys. Now we're going to move on to our second subsection of our core exercises, which are our dynamic core exercises. Okay, so we're actually going to be putting our body and our core through a specific range of motion. So our first one are our extension exercises. So we'll be extending now through the low back with our prone pull downs, setting up on our belly, pulling our elbows down towards our sides, squeezing our armpits, driving up through the back, through the core, through the glutes, and feeling our direct low back core work in this one. Our next exercise, we're starting in a similar position on our stomach. Okay, we're still going through extension, but here we got contralateral supermans. Okay, so again, we're going to start up flat. Our opposite arm to our opposite leg are going to drive up. We're going to think about keeping our chin tucked and driving our chest just up off the ground. Again, extending through the low back, squeezing the glutes slightly, and finding that nice extension position to work on that low back strength. The next set of exercises are rotational exercises. So we're going to be putting through our spine and our core through a rotational movement. So in our single side Russian twists here, we're going to start with the med ball. We're going to be nice and tall in the chest, okay, about 45-degree angle from the ground. Then we're going to slowly rotate the body towards the ground with the ball. Then from there, we're going to drive right back up to the middle position, and then again reset by dropping that ball down to the side once again. Our second rotational exercise are our staggered stance Pallof press rotations. Okay, so we're going to set ourselves again away from the wall, guys, with that band. We're going to set ourselves in about a staggered stance with our foot that's closest to the band in front, little bend in the knees, and then from there we're going to start with the band in towards the chest. We'll press out, we'll let the band pull us towards the wall, and then we're going to drive right back out, rotating the body with the band, and then resetting right back down the middle. So again, we're going to rotate through the core, bang, there it is, reset down the middle, and then reset the exercise. Brace, set, bang, back in. Our next set of core exercises, guys, are our flexion exercises. So we'll be flexing at the hip for both of these. Okay, so we're going to start up on our back. We're going to set a band on the wall here, and then we're going to wrap our feet around the band. We're going to set our brace down, and we're going to flex the knees in towards the chest. All right, so kind of like a little reverse crunch here, setting that low back down, setting that brace, and again, flexing the hip, bringing the knees into the chest, resetting down, flexing the neck again. Next, we have our leg raises and lowers with our hands against the wall. So we're pushing our hands into the wall very slightly, guys, keeping our knees as straight as we can, flexing at the hip, keeping the leg straight, and then lowering down nice and controlled. Again, keeping that brace engaged, driving that low back down, staying strong through the core throughout the exercise here. Last set of our dynamic core movement here is our lateral flexion exercises. Okay, so very simply here, we're setting up in a side plank. We're going to bend our hips down to the ground and then drive our hips right back up to the sky. Again, thinking about driving the hips up, but also forward here, guys, keeping everything stacked on top of each other, elbow into the shoulder, staying strong through the brace, and again, laterally flexing at the hip. Our second lateral flexion exercise are our heel taps. Okay, so we're setting up on our back here, guys. Okay, feet are about 3 to 4 inches away from our butt. We're driving our head slightly up off the ground with the shoulders, driving that low back into the ground, and alternating sides with the heel taps. Again, we're flexing at the hip laterally, side to side, driving that brace into the ground, staying strong through the core. Alright guys, we're into our third and final subsection of core movements. We got our sport integrated core exercises. So these exercises, guys, are more related to sport. So they're integrating the core with the limbs of our body. So here we got a double shuffle with a fake ball throw off to the side. We're going to set ourselves in a nice neutral athletic stance, shuffle over to the side twice, drive the ball across the body to the opposite hip while still trying to keep the hips and shoulders facing forward, bracing through the core as we do these. Next, we have our reverse lunge to our wood chop. All right, so we're going to start with the kettlebell down by our hip. We're going to drive back into our reverse lunge. Then we're going to drive our knee forward, coming up into a nice tall stance while driving that kettlebell across to the opposite shoulder. Again, we're trying to keep everything nice and straight, hips facing forward, shoulders facing forward as we rotate the kettlebell across. And again, bracing through the core, staying stable throughout the entire body. Our third sport integrated exercise are our reverse lunge with a Pallof press hold. So similar to our regular Pallof press hold, we're going to set our body a few steps away from the band to get a little bit of tension. We're going to keep the arms with a slight bend in front of us. We're going to go into our reverse lunge, fighting any rotation. So it's an anti-rotational exercise with our reverse lunge into a knee drive. Our last exercise of the video here are our lateral lunge with a plate press. So we're going to drive out, toes facing forward into a lateral lunge, keeping the chest fairly tall with the butt back. As we get into that lowered lateral lunge position, we're going to press the plate out, bringing it right back in, and then pressing back up into that neutral position, standing nice and tall. These are great for our change of direction, staying strong through the brace, not allowing, again, our hips and our shoulders to shift side to side. What's up, legends? I'm here at the indoor training facility today. I got the gym there. We got the training pitch there. I'm here today to talk about the core, what it is, as well as the movements that the core produces, facilitates, and exercises that can help you strengthen each. So a lot of the time, athletes think of our core as just the six-pack abs here within our stomach. But really, the core should be thought of as our trunk. So you think of the core generally as the shoulders here, all the way down through to the hips. So all the muscle groups from our lower back, our erector spinae, sides of our body, so our lats and our obliques, shoulders, we have the traps, the pecs here in the chest, all the way down into the hips. Essentially, you can think of all the muscle groups that more or less surround and stabilize our spine. Now that we know what the core actually is and what comprises it, we have to think about what the core actually does. So the strength and stability of our trunk is going to directly influence how powerful we are through the limbs, so our arms, as well as through our legs. Every single movement you perform on the pitch as a footballer or as a soccer player is directly influenced by the strength and the stability of our trunk. So this includes your things like your sprint speed, your acceleration, your change of direction, jumping, all of those powerful movements, as well as your ball striking, defending, your shuffling, all of those things are directly influenced based on the strength and stability of your trunk. And now finally, we want to talk about the movements that the trunk produces. Okay, so there's 3 in general. The first is our anti-core movement. This is resisting movement through the spine. So anti-extension, anti-rotation, anti-flexion, anti-lateral flexion. And next are our dynamic core movements. So we're actually putting our body through a specific range of motion. So rather than resisting these movements, we're now producing them. So that's extension, rotation, flexion, and lateral flexion. And our third set of core movements are sports or athletic integrative movements. And these movements integrate both the core with the rest of the body. So we're utilizing our arms and our legs to produce the sport-specific movements that we want to produce and challenge the core with. Hope you enjoyed the exercises. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.